I remember sitting there looking at the lady and she's like, well, you got a 50% chance. I'm like, well, all right, if I got it, stomach's coming out, we'll figure it out after that. Hi, I'm Alicia. I just turned 27. I'm already a seahorse, so I'm CDH1 carrier. My dad had stage 4 gastric cancer. That's where we ended up finding out. The rest is still to be told. My dad was 50 when it happened. The last time he had been at the doctor was when he was 18, out of the military. Bless his heart. He said it would feel like food would stack up in his esophagus. It was happening for months. My dad was in fantastic physical condition, so he was like, oh, whatever, it's probably just indigestion. It was right after I had gotten married, and then my sister had been pregnant, so we're like, Dad, we really need you to get that checked out just in case it's something major. Hopefully you have grandkids one day that will need to worry about that. And he did end up going in, and they ended up finding it was stage 4 cancer right off the bat. So he did chemo. He made it almost 18 months on treatment. Obviously, he got to stage 5 and then passed, but when they originally found it, they figured he'd probably only have a year, and he made it to almost 18 months. He was one hell of a guy. He would give the shirt off his back to anybody. He did 18 months of chemo. He worked through the whole thing. My dad was a fighter. Even up until that night when he passed, the only thing he was concerned about was his family watching him suffer. Even in his worst pain, was more concerned about how his family felt than what he was going through. And he was one of the strongest people I've ever known. I truly believe he saved my life by finding out that I was a carrier, because we wouldn't have known if he hadn't gotten tested. It's 2 parts. So it's 1 part stomach cancer, 1 part lobular breast cancer. So CDH1, because you have the gene, it doesn't necessarily mean you have it. 90% of cases, you do have stomach cancer already. It's just a matter of if they find it. A lot of people don't have any symptoms. If they do, that's when it's already been stage 3. It's pretty bad. But then, like the lobular breast cancer, eventually it'll be a double mastectomy just to make sure I for sure don't have to deal with that either. It's been quite the 6 months. So my dad passed the end of March. A couple weeks later, I got in for my genetics appointment. It was my first Mother's Day. I got the phone call that Friday that I was positive for CDH1. Definitely cried. I'm one of 4 kids, and I ended up being the only one with it. I'm kind of one that takes the bull by the horns, and it might be a little rough, but we'll figure it out. So I said, all right, let's get my stomach out. That's the next step. So I found out that in May. I just had my total gastrectomy in September. I'm actually 8 weeks today. Every day counts. Like, that was the one thing we always said with Dad from the day we find out to the day he passed, is we weren't wasting anything of what we got. And even my husband and I have talked about that with finding out that I do carry this gene, and just understand that nothing's going to be easy, but it's doable. We just have the 1 kid right now, so he's got a 50% chance of having it. And that was part of why I did the surgery right away, is just because I hope to God that one day if he gets older and he does have it, that at least it won't be so scary. Like, for me, I was grieving, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to be in chemo. I don't want any of that. But at the same time, I'm hoping he can be like, well, saved Mom's life, so I guess I can do it too.